Welcome to CRT Cold Hard Trash episode 21. I'm your host, Trashcan Jones.
And I'm Breeeeeg, your fellow host.
And I have an actually $1 million idea to start off with off the bat. So, and now there's two potential, not factors, but two potential ways we can go about this. So, first one is cards of athletes, famous people. I was going to say athletic players, but maybe you could use celebrities as well. And instead of like, their stats on the back where it's like, they did this many runs, this many points, if it's a movie star card, this many films or whatever, we have just all their hot takes on the back of it. So it's like, maybe you can have like burn facts like, they acted in 3 movies, got 4 Oscars. They also don't believe that free lunch should be a thing across America. And it's just like, it does some crazy shit like that.
See, I like this idea because, one, it makes people think about their opinions, and then 2, when they do and potentially change their opinion on that, then we can just make a new edition of the cards.
Yeah.
And then it just be like, okay, well, from this period of time, this celebrity didn't think that free lunch was okay.
Yeah,
but then after the first season where we published it,
they got so much flack.
Miraculously, their opinion changed. How interesting.
See, the only thing that I could find that would be a challenge with that is we probably need to get likenesses and the okay from the people we're doing the cards with, which might be tough. That might be really tough. So the other way I was going to think about doing it is we do the cards for the actual takes themselves. So we just have like, the more common ones like, you get like, pro-choice 20 out of 20. Because, we just have like the 20 of those. But then you have like the OJ is innocent, gold foil, 1 of 1. And then on the back is just like, he rushed for 2,000 yards one season. Just close your eyes, think of the Naked Gun, and then the glove didn't fit.
So it would be like you publish... okay, so for one celebrity, you have like 20... of like, a particular thing, but then only one card actually says their opinion on OJ. You don't know what the gold card's going to be.
No, I was saying that the card itself is going to be the take. So instead of a celebrity on the card, it's just going to be like the take that OJ is innocent, and that's the card. And you could have another card that's like just like pro-choice and stuff. So you could have trading cards that are like your actual hot takes. Are your views, basically.
You can't have that opinion unless you have the card for it.
Right, that's the thing. Like, how do you know you're actually of that opinion? Thinking. Right. How do you know you're really thinking that way? You don't have the card. I got the gold foil rookie card pro-choice. You get like some legislator from back in the 70s, like Ann Richards or something, who's into the choosing the women's rights.
This is definitely a trading card thing and not a playing card thing.
Right, yeah, no. There wouldn't be like attack points or anything like this. It'd be more like trading cards.
Well, it makes me think like, I guess baseball, yeah, those are just trading cards too.
Yeah.
Like, there's no...
All sports cards.
Like, is there a game you could play with it? Like, I mean, the cards have stats on them.
Yeah, but no, the game is just the collector of it. They have like, I know the WWE, I think, has like cards that do that you can like actually put PowerPoints on, and probably similar to Magic the Gathering or something like that. I've never played it, but yeah.
I summon Hulk Hogan.
Right, and he has like this signature move, leg drop, that does 10 damage or whatever.
I summon Randy Savage, and I don't know, he has a Slim Jim move.
He might snap you into a Slim Jim. Might hit you with the elbow from the heavens.
There are 2 different attacks. I mean, like, couldn't you just... It's a collection of numbers. It was associated with the name, print out a piece of paper. You could probably make a game out of that. Like...
wrestling?
Baseball.
Oh,
just
well, yeah.
Roll some dice. I don't know.
Yeah, that was some of the, not like the first ever video games, but some of the first like computer programming games I remember, like the early days were like baseball simulations, where they would run baseball like just a season simulation, and you'd be able to change like different, I think it was like funds for teams and whatnot, and it would just be able to run the thing of like the probability of a strike versus a ball and a hit versus a single, double. Yeah, it's all math.
Yeah, so we should try and... First, we should try and get some baseball trading cards. And we'll make the game around it, and we'll inflate their value. Because now you need this like for a tournament. I don't know many baseball players. Babe Ruth. But that would be like, an earlier edition. So
right.
He'd
be like he'd be like a historic card. They have like would it be illegal to use like a Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh card or Pokemon card in a Pokemon tournament today?
It depends.
They have like certain ones that are banned. But
in Magic the Gathering, they have it so that you aren't allowed to use, like, Black Lotus is like this legendary card that like is decently powerful and like a bunch of people want it, but it's not even legal in the game because it's so old and rare, which I think is very fair. Otherwise, you'd have like literal Yu-Gi-Oh happening where it's like, I'm Seto Kaiba and I'm going to kill your grandfather, rip his cards up,
rip his cards up to make sure that I'm the one.
Yeah, like, because you don't want people to destroy it and stuff like that. I also feel like, I don't know how much a company would really appreciate having their item become a collector's item, especially if it's something like that you use to play the game.
Yeah, it makes it into a different world, because then, it's something that's sought after and something people are using. It's not just something like, oh, cool, they have, like, it's something that's actively, like, sought after. Which I guess, could you make the same, like, distinction, or same example for a diamond or something like that, like the Hope Diamond, if someone's displaying it, like, well, people just want to steal that.
Well, I mean, you're not putting it in diamond competitions.
I guess,
so
but
it's not
just,
like there's any way that it's unfair that they have the diamond.
Yeah, but
plus the diamond isn't really like the creation of some person, and if it's a lab diamond, it's probably not in the case or anything like that. Right?
Yeah, I think the Hope Diamond is like the whole thing of it. It's the largest natural diamond or natural cut diamond or something. I don't know. I just try to use that as an example of like it's really expensive, but like not really used for anything other than being expensive and big.
Yeah, but it's not like, if you have like a super rare card that's like worth $1,000 or something like that, and it's like there's like 20 of them printed every time they release a new pack or whatever. That would be a significant, like, if it's good, like, you can have a significant rare advantage in.
Yeah, that's the disadvantage is the big thing of it. The fact that the Hope Diamond is literally used for nothing other than people might just want to steal it and sell it. That's something that always kind of bugs me about, like, the idea of, I don't know, I can't think of a movie that's ever done it, but it was just kind of done in cartoons and stuff, like stealing the big diamond or stealing the big painting. Like, who are you selling that to? What evil villain is going to just, like, how are you going to flip that? It's the diamond.
There was
the painting or whatever.
There was a movie that I watched called Snatch, which is about literally that, like, stealing a big diamond. And basically there's someone who, like, a broker that is like, I will buy the diamond off of any, like, if you steal it, like, talk to a couple people, like, I will buy it off of you.
What are you going to do with the diamond, Mr. Broker?
But, like, in terms of being the stealer, that's sort of your end goal. That's your motivation, is someone else to have the diamond. Probably someone that doesn't, like, abide by international law might want it, and to be like, haha, I got your diamond. It's really big.
Hee, look at me.
But the diamond changes hands, like, all throughout the movie, and then eventually it ends up, like a bunch of people betraying each other and stuff like that, and then it just happens to end up in, like, one of the guys from the beginning's laps, and he's just like, cool, out. He just leaves.
Is that the one you were telling me about where he, like, does the auction but then swaps the fake diamond with the real one before the auction?
No. Both of these things I watched with John, though.
Oh.
But that is a TV show based off of some, like, French thief from a novel.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that.
Snatch takes place in England. And that's actually the movie where I think I found out about the whole pigs eat through bone thing.
Really?
That was the movie, yeah.
Someone gets fed to the pigs in that one?
It's one of the first scenes they're talking about it. I mean, I don't remember if it happens, but the foreshadowing's there. So, probably. But yeah, someone wants a big diamond, and, if it's going to be stolen, it's already someone who's, like, a criminal. Like, only a criminal would want that. Why would you, if you get a stolen diamond all of a sudden, and everyone knows it's stolen, like, they're just gonna find you, and they're gonna be like, you stole a diamond, or you bought a stolen diamond.
The diamond too that's on display at a museum or something. So, like, not only are people gonna be looking for it, but it's probably like a recognizable diamond. Like, who's not gonna be able to see that and be like, hey, that's the stolen diamond?
And they put a fake mustache.
Yeah, right. You got to disguise it somehow. Yeah, Captain crawled into my lap.
You got a little guest.
Yeah.
First guest star.
I felt her crawling up my leg a little bit.
I got
She's
a new
so
kitten
tiny.
a couple weeks ago, and I mentioned it on the show before, but now we're recording at my place, and she's here.
And she has grown all of 0 inches because she is still so tiny. She's as big as my foot.
Yeah, like 8 weeks.
So I think she's just now sitting down in the hammock between my sweatpants.
Perfect. She likes having many places to nap on people and otherwise.
Very good. Very good.
Apparently the Mona Lisa wasn't that like big of a deal when it wasn't a stolen painting, and then someone stole it, and now everyone's like, oh, the Mona Lisa.
Really? It was
Yeah.
just kind of like an painting, and someone tried to... Why did someone steal it then?
It was in the Louvre. That big ol'...
Oh, so it was in the Louvre before it got stolen the first time?
Yeah, but it's like, just one of the things in the Louvre, like not...
Right,
like,
so it was still like one of the greatest paintings in the world, but it's like on the lower end of greatest paintings in the world.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the most iconic painting of all time, I guess that's the compare. Like, yes, it was already pretty big, but it wasn't the most recognizable painting.
Right, it wasn't
what it is now.
Wasn't the one that's in every cartoon as like if you need a famous painting at all. Like it's just kind of the de facto one. Yeah.
Like literally everywhere.
So I've got a problem. So while I am monogamously in a relationship, and I will be for the rest of my life, I don't not find other girls attractive. I see other girls and I think I can recognize their beauty. And even those girls of perhaps a larger size. So when girls that were once a little bit skinny now get towards that larger size, for whatever reason, they're just going through some times, maybe they're, whatever. How do I compliment them on that? Because normally it's just like, oh, you've lost some weight, you're looking good. How do I tell them like, oh, you've gained some weight, you're looking good? That doesn't come off the same way. But like it's real, it's honest. Like I want to tell them like, hey, looking good there, but
I think
what can I do about this?
it's generally a faux pas to comment on someone's weight unless it happens to land. Like anytime you're pointing out someone's weight, you may be taking a risk as to why they may have lost it or gained it.
But I mean, like, especially if they want to be like, oh, I'm so, disgusting now. Like, what, you'll kind of want to reinforce, like, no, you're looking good. It's fine. Like, legitimately, I would be able to say, like, yeah, you're looking good. The weight, you wear the weight well or something like that. But it's, you normally don't do that for the over. You do it for the under.
I'm learning a lot about you today.
My tastes vary wildly. Tima just happens to be my soulmate.
Fair enough. I don't know, just I guess be like firm, like nah, you're very attractive. You look good. Thumbs up. Leave it at that.
Brent Rambo.
Yeah.
You look good.
Be like certified honest opinion. You look good. And that's it. Because then it's like that is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I especially when people comment about their own weight, it always just makes me a little uncomfortable because it's just like, all right, so where do you want me? Because you're obviously baiting me to say something. Where do you want me to go with this? Because it's going to be, I don't know if this is a subject for you or if you're just kind of like, going on about it. It's sometimes can be a little too personal for people. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings ever.
I guess the main thing is like, one, obviously that's never a measure of someone's value as an individual,
Right, of course.
So like,
but some people on an individual basis just put like their own self-worth kind of value on that. When then they can kind of put that out, and it's like, well, you can tell them like, hey, don't put your self-worth on your self-image, but at the same, it's their own,
I think just general normal compliments would still work. That is my answer. If you want to say that the weight gain was a positive thing, I don't have an answer. I don't have a guide on how to do that.
Well, that's unfortunate. I was looking for some help there.
Unless you... like, yeah, I don't know. Because if the individual person doesn't... Especially if the individual person doesn't like the weight, then it's sort of like... Doesn't really matter what someone else thinks,
Yeah, I guess. I was trying to think, like, in that moment of can you, like... console them a little bit, or just make them reinforce like, oh no, you still look good, but still do it in the way of like you're not denying the fact that they have gained weight, because I don't mind it.
Well,
I don't know.
Now I know more about your tastes.
So, not to bring us back to booby trap law again, but
I can talk about it all day.
I had kind of something that might border on it. So, with especially the thing of you need to be very clear on what is fake, so that the trick is very obvious. So you can't spring it on somebody. With AI videos, there's kind of might be that same thing perhaps 10 years in the future, where you need to let them know, because again, you're kind of setting traps out there people don't know. You could make this fake video that's false information or whatever, fake news about a celebrity, but if it doesn't have the AI tag on it, that people think it's real, because it might look real.
Some apps already do have disclosures like that.
Okay.
Where it's required that you put this image is AI generated or something like that, or you put in the tags or whatever.
So here's the hiccup with that I have, is figuring out that a video is AI is part of what makes them funny. Realizing wait a minute, this is a fake one. Because imagine you have a Joe Biden speech or a Donald Trump speech, and they have 30% of it, or the first 30 minutes of it is all just normal, it's an actual just speech, and then in the middle it does 2 minutes of AI and then swaps back to the regular speech. It'd just be hilarious. Just all of a sudden he goes off talking about Doritos or soap or just whatever the AI bot wrote.
I mean, Biden might just start talking about Doritos and soap. That's not
right.
crazy.
But that's the thing is when you slip it into the
tell?
AI, it'd be just funny. I saw it right there. It'd be funny. You have to pick that out. Be like, oh no, this was the fake one. You got me. He ain't talking about that. I
think I would be upset if I went half an hour without realizing it was AI, and then they just sort of
But the half hour was real speech. That's the thing. It's a real
so it
speech
was
video.
cut in.
Yeah, and it interlaces in.
Yeah.
And that's part of the comedy, though, is you figure out they tricked me.
So they made it look as real as possible.
Right. They take you down as far as you can before hitting you with the left turn. They make you think you're watching a real speech, and then just so happens, hey, Doritos and soap.
I think you could find a group of people, a good amount of people that enjoy it, but they definitely should. That'd be awful to put that in public. To just send it out there,
I also had a thought
people will fall for it.
Right, that's the people falling for it was the big problem. So I thought of potentially another way around that. If you make it just so blatantly, out there. So you say you have just a Chappell Roan song, because that's real big, and it's you edit out the lyrics to an AI thing to just be about a crazy conspiracy theory, lizard people running the government or whatever. But 90% of the song is still the same song. We just have one chorus be about lizard people running the government, and then you just post that onto TikTok, and then some people were like, "Oh, crazy! I can't believe that she would put this in her song."
No one would believe it, but honestly, that would just do numbers on TikTok.
It would just be hilarious.
People would just be posting it all the time.
Yeah, and then they'd post that one clip from it and be like, "Remember when she said this?"
Yeah, that definitely would be, like you said, blatantly obvious.
And it would be hilarious. I feel like
People
you need to
playing
get to that. You need to get to that point where you're just you're doing it so obvious that it is a joke, but at the same time, you do it so well that it almost doesn't look like a joke. It almost doesn't look fake. You need to have that moment of recognition of wait a minute, that wasn't. That's fake.
Yeah.
Just get blown back for a second.
I do find that, I guess, when people are changing the lyrics of songs, for the most part, they actually do just classic, chopping and mixing. My favorite right now is, there's two that were pretty good that in recent memory for me. One is Hot to Go by Chappell Roan. They just recut it. Instead of it being HOTTOGO, it's HOOT, and then they just put owl sounds.
Just hoot.
Recently, I saw that was picked up by a state wildlife or a municipal wildlife committee for one of their ads on TikTok.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're talking about owls, so they just use the sound.
Does this have owl sounds in it too? She's like actual owl sounds?
Yeah,
That's
well,
great.
because it's HOTTOGO is a pretty long phrase.
Right.
HOOT and then a pause and just I can't make good owl noises.
That's awesome.
Um,
Can't believe she would make a song about owls like that. It's crazy.
Yeah,
She
right?
liked owls.
and Kesha, you know her song TikTok.
Of course.
You know, wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy.
Yeah, it's pretty not age well.
Well, one, she made her own like sort of re-recording where it just starts out like, wake up in the morning like fuck P. Diddy.
That's pretty good.
And the other one was a re-chop of it. Just like, wake up in the morning feeling like this city. Get my glasses, I'm out the door, I'm about to hit P. Diddy. And then just punching noises. It's good.
That's a pretty good.
I like
one,
these
too.
little...
I'm about to hit
chops.
P. Diddy.
And people like, I don't know, flexing their digital audio workstation muscles.
And
Sometimes they go over the edge with like just too many fucking sound effects and stuff though.
oh, sure.
I'm not too behind. There's one sound effect. Like, I'm fine with all these sort of like brain rot, just like infinite like boom, 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 like vine boom, whatever sound effects.
Sure.
But there's one of someone yelling like, get out! And I don't know what it is.
Is it a
Just
little
fucking-
kid?
It's like I don't know, probably like a late teenage male.
Is it like a kid going like, get out of here, get out of my room?
Maybe. I mean, I've only heard that.
I'd
Little-
like you to get the fuck out of here. Get
Maybe
out
that's-
of here.
Maybe that's it.
It's a little kid who I believe is like turned a giant, and they bring a doctor in to like try and help him, but he's like, I'm a giant kid, what are you gonna do? And he says, I'd like you to get the fuck out of here. I think it's from like the 80s. It's an old movie. If you just search that might be, yeah. Well, let me see if I can find the actual clip, because it's a pretty famous one.
This fucking get out sound effect, soundboard link, no copyright sound effects. Pisses me off.
No
I hate
copyright.
hearing this every single time. Where's TikTok sound? Fine boom, go right ahead. I don't mind it.
Yeah, it's just called Kids These Days.
This is in
It's just the monster at the end. Kids these days.
That was in important videos. I remember that.
Yeah, it was one of the important video ones. It sounds like it. Could be a get out from that.
I don't think it is, but that I'm glad it brought us to talking about that video because it's good.
Well, that's like blasted to hell too, deep fried audio.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Classic clip though.
All right. Time to get into it.
Oh boy, get into what?
You know what? I warned you.
I'm a little concerned.
So, Nintendo experienced some leaks.
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah, I did hear about these.
I will give a disclaimer. I'm not a furry. If you are, good for you. These stories don't even read like furry stories, to be completely honest.
Uh-huh.
They read like old texts, like you're talking about Zeus or something. But really, it's the fact that Pokemon are, in the end of the day, they're more like spirits, like yokai, than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a lot of Greek mythology is weird when like Loki's turned into animals to bang people and whatnot. Even though it's not furry stuff, it's still not cool.
Yeah.
Still weird stuff.
And the Pokemon Company never published these. And the leading
Right.
theory right now is that it was just a creative exercise internally. Creative writing exercise. But I sent them to my phone so I could read them.
Oh boy.
Theme: the collapse of culture and relationships. There was a time when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was blurred. In a coastal village, there was a man. One day, as he was walking along the shore, he found a female octillery washed up on the beach.
Oh, no.
The man had relations with the octillery and then threw it back into the sea.
What?
The next day, he went to the same spot and found the same octillery again. He once more had relations with it and threw it back into the sea as before. One night, after several days had passed, the man had a dream. In the dream, the octillery spoke to him. I cannot come to you, but I will deliver our child to you. It is our child, yours and mine. The next morning, the man went to the place where he had met the octillery. There, he found a boy. The man took the boy home and raised him. Time passed, the boy grew into a young man, and the father passed away. The young man was always lonely. One day, as the young man was walking along the shore, he saw a group of people playing in the distance. They all held very large swords in their hands as they danced. The young man approached the people, and as he got closer, he saw that Sharpedo were playing along the beach. When he tried to get even closer, the Sharpedo suddenly leapt into the sea all at once. However, one of the Sharpedo lingered, looking around 3 times before swimming away. At the spot where the Sharpedo had been playing, there was a large sword lying on the ground. It was a shape he had never seen before, and it was very sharp and pointed. The young man took the sword home. The next day, the young man took the sword and went into the forest. While walking through the forest, he encountered an ursa ring. He tried slashing at the ursa ring's mouth with a sword, and the mouth was easily severed. Next, he stabbed at the ursa ring's eyes, and they were easily pierced.
Jesus.
Finally, the young man thrust his sword into the ursa ring's chest, and the ursa ring died effortlessly.
They actually die? I thought Pokemon fainted.
I mean, you use a real sword.
Jesus.
That day, the young man killed 30 Ursaring.
Oh, my God.
After
Just
that,
going on a rampage.
He always carried the sword with him when playing by injuring Pokemon he encountered or cutting off parts of their bodies. One autumn, while the young man was searching for firewood, he lost his way. After walking for a while, he stumbled upon an Ursaring's den. Inside, there was an elderly Ursaring lying down. The elderly Ursaring looked at the young man and said, "Come inside." The young man hesitated, but as it was getting dark outside, he entered the den. Before long, people began to enter the den, one after another, filling the room completely. Looking closer, he saw that all the people had scarred faces, and some were missing their eyes. They were chatting amongst themselves, but the young man ignored them and fell asleep. At one point, he woke up to find the elderly Ursaring lying beside him. He fell asleep again. When he awoke once more, there were many people around, talking about something. Again, the young man ignored them and went back to sleep. When spring arrived, the elderly Ursaring spoke. "Do you want to go home? Then I shall send you home. When you return, a whale lord will soon be found near the village. Go there. We will send a man. You must leave the sword behind and bring a witness. Why did you do such things? Cutting faces and slicing off noses." The elderly Ursaring escorted the young man back to the village. Upon his return, the young man recounted everything that had happened to the villagers. The following morning, the young man took some villagers with him and headed to the shore. As they walked along the coast, they found a large whale lord. Nearby, on the beach, was a teddy ursa. When it noticed the young man, the teddy ursa hid in the forest, and a large Ursaring came out in its place. As the Ursaring charged at him, the young man tried to draw the sword he had hidden, but it got stuck, and he couldn't pull it out. So he rushed at the Ursaring with his bare hands. The young man and the Ursaring grappled, punching each other's faces. They strangled each other with all their strength, and so they choked each other to death, collapsing on top of one another.
What the fuck is going on?
The villagers went back and told the others what they had seen.
Why? What is the point of all that? Is there some Pokemon with a sword that likes to cut other Pokemon up, and that's his origin story or some shit?
It's like it's talking about a very young world where humans can't really differentiate themselves from any of the, they have villages, but so do these random fucking animals that live in the woods. Like, they have villages, they have society, they can speak to each other.
Right, but he's I just don't get it. He's cutting. I guess he was cutting apart other Pokemon and shit, but then he goes to the Ursa Ring and there's just people that are there.
Well, the very first line. There was a time when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was blurred.
What does that mean, though? There's animals and humans.
We gotta be way more abstract than this.
This bullshit. We have to be more abstract. As some things cannot talk and other things can. Some things have psychic powers, and that's already fucking winging it weird.
It's mythology. None of these rules apply.
It's just...
And the people that were there were obviously Ursa Ring. They had the cut up faces and stuff like that.
Yeah, but why did he call them people then? Why didn't he see them as Pokemon? He obviously sees them as others.
The boundary between them is blurred.
Then why did he see him as Ursa Ring at first and people the second time? It doesn't make sense. It's inconsistent
blurred.
Storytelling.
It's blurred. Of course it's inconsistent. It's about how they can't fully tell the difference between, like, what actually makes them different from each other. Of course they look different and they act different and stuff like that, but what makes them different? How do you define that they're different?
One animal, one human.
And they don't have that definition.
This
sounds like operating before that was even a definition that they could come up with.
They were cavemen. That's their own fault. Eventually, they discovered language and they figured out society and said, "Hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be banging animals anymore."
And also,
it's not even that weird. It's just this bad story. It's a weird story.
It's a great story. It doesn't have like a moral to it as much as it's like it's just mystical. It's interesting. Nobody wins.
Nobody needs to win. It just needs to be not like weird and about depressing shit. It's a kid's game.
It's not. They never published this.
What? Why would they even write that then?
This is a creative writing exercise. This is from around the time of Generation 4, which is when they're talking about the literal creation of their universe. That's the games where they introduced like God, like creation myth God.
Yeah, a
like
bunch of weird stuff.
Everything.
I was falling off way before that, but I do remember the different things like the creator of the universe and the one who created all of their Pokemon. Basically, it just gets a little crazy.
I mean, at that point, they kind of jumped the shark, right? Like, what are they can't make the guy that created him. Right? So they just started focusing on different things. Like, I guess after that, it was the two split dragons in Gen 5, and it's just like ideals or truth, which isn't much of a dichotomy, but, you know, one's more about traditionalism, one's more about trudging into the future, or treading into the future. Gen 6, they did life and death, and as far as we can tell, they never revisited this. Otherwise, I'm sure the Pokemon of life and death would be folded into this somehow as important. But the Arceus, like origin, like the creation myth of the universe, which is also one of these, but I didn't pull it because it's like incredibly long. But like the creation myth of the universe does like have a part in it where there's like a sort of world tree thing that had grown so massive that it was prohibiting anything from moving. Which is an interesting image.
Like it had just branches that was entangling everything, so it couldn't
everything. No one could move. Then this is like before there were even people. This is like there's 5 things in existence.
Trees, water, air.
I mean, like people. Like there's not even Earth yet, I believe. It's like all in this metaphorical. Like the first thing was an egg, and then after that, like was Arceus, and then the shards of the egg turned into giants, in which he defeated. And then he poured his own blood into them to give them life. And that's how we get the god of space and the god of time.
Why they were already alive? As it's just eggshells, though? He had to defeat them, then pour blood into them?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was just...
yeah. It doesn't make any damn sense.
You gotta have a more open mind about this stuff. Like, what... None of this stuff is to be taken literally.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe just too disconnected from Pokemon to even be able to like entertain that. But it's
the ideas behind this aren't even related to, like, I'm not really looking at this as much as Pokemon as like it's cool that writers of Pokemon also wrote like creation myths like this. You know, like there's crazy shit like this in like Elden Ring 2. Like anything that really gets up to the point of like what the creation of existence is, it's gonna be they're gonna start writing it like that. The Silmarillion talks about like the trumpets playing and rivers becoming into being, like shit like that. I don't think they actually played trumpets. How do you invent a trumpet before you invent a river? You know, it's metaphorical. It's
right.
The music, like the
I don't really have
music.
I don't really have a problem with like the logistics of it all, or like, you know, the world building. Like that's fine if you want to explain and do all of that. But like, if you want to do that for Elden Ring, that's great. That's a really big IP. You know, it's a rated M game and all that. It's why this shouldn't be done for a children's. No, something that's aimed towards children.
No, they didn't.
Shouldn't do that creative writing exercise behind the scenes for a children's thing.
There's no reason not to.
There's lots of reasons.
I see an argument for not publishing it.
There's lots of reasons, because it might make you think of weird shit when you're thinking of children things. Like dismemberment and different sexual things between Pokemon and humans.
There's dismemberment in the first game. Team Rocket's selling Slowpoke tails because they go down to the river and they chop all the tails off.
Yeah, but the Slowpoke tails regrow.
Yeah, that's fair, but it's still fucked up, is it not?
Slowpoke tails also just lose their own tails a lot because they're dumb. So theoretically, they don't say they go chop them off. They say they just go collect them. They could just grab all the ones that the Slowpokes already left.
No, that's the explanation they start using later for shit.
I was going to say, because what are the odds that Team Rocket doesn't bungle it anyway, trying to cut off a Slowpoke tail? They're going to fall into the river and just get clopped by a cloister or something like that. Like, they're going to fuck it up.
This also, I'll say, at the point in time where these like stories would have been written and stuff like that, they may have been at a bit of a crossroads, right? Like, did they want to continue making this series for children, or did they want to age up their series with their initial target audience?
I suppose, but if that's from Gen 4, why are you even keeping that around? Delete that. Get that off your computer. That's embarrassing,
No,
man.
they keep all their shit. Apparently, the hack was achieved also by like someone accidentally posting their credentials into like a GitHub push.
Nice.
So that was found, but. Yeah, they also published a bunch of like old designs and stuff like that, which is interesting because it's not necessarily great that like old designs get published, because it is cool to see this type of stuff.
Right.
Like old unused designs, but Pokemon does have a bit of a track record of going back to ideas that they didn't use and then implementing them in a later generation. They kind of expect the longevity of it, that they can just set some things to the side.
Right, and they can come back to that at a later date, maybe work it in a different way.
Yeah. One of the things that ended up leaked...
That should not be one of them.
They're not holding on to... This is definitely, like... If this plus all the other stuff, like the whole description of who the Pantheon is, and there's, like, empty spots in there and stuff like that, we would... If they were still, like, using this stuff into the future, like, we would have been able to guess who... like ended up getting filled in that Pantheon. It's this whole like glyph thing that includes like a circle for every single god.
Sure.
Which is like in the center you got Arceus, and then there's two off to the side from that, Dialga and Palkia. There's one a little bit off to the side, that's Giratina, the devil. That's surrounded by like a triangle that has Rayquaza, Kyogre, and Groudon on it. And then each one of them have their sort of like guardian like spirits that they have, which is really interesting. Rayquaza has Dragonite, Gyarados, and another one that I can't think of. But those aren't legendary Pokemon, but they're technically in the Pantheon. It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It will never excuse Pokemon fucking.
It's
and
not
Pokemon dismembering. Even if it's not that crazy, it's not excusable. I'm not backing down from it. I can't. It's
there's a way to look at it like and be like, wow, like, you know, that's so like.
I learned a lot about you this episode too.
Like, to be a being that can't tell the difference between itself and the wildlife around it, we aren't like that. We know it from the fucking day one. You know, like, it's instilled into us pretty quickly, too, from the types of societies that we live in. But to be someone that can't derive a meaningful difference between them, and is willing to just see them as others and maybe dismember them and stuff like that, and then end up fighting one to the death.
So even in this Pokemon thing, if it's Pokemon were probably the first beings, so humans were probably some subsect of Pokemon that then became their own thing, just like the evolutionary theories of this world of some subset of monkey. It's still, that's weird.
The thing is another part of the mythology is that they are actually distinct.
Between humans and Pokemon?
Pokemon and yes, they are.
That makes it even worse.
Clearly distinct, but Pokemons and humans couldn't tell.
That makes it even worse. They are distinct. They just didn't know.
Well, they're basically they're all the offspring of Dialga and Palkia, and then they say the offspring of Palkia are Pokemon and the offspring of Dialga are humans from them creating offspring together, right? It's sort of like an oxymoron. Like that's not how it works.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
It doesn't make logical sense, but that's part of the mythology.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine if it is mythology. All that cool. No banging. Don't put the banging. Don't put all that vor and gore and shit in there and into the children's things.
It's not. This isn't for children. This story isn't for children, and it's not vor. They were cutting
things up and just being like, and he liked to go out and just cut things and have fun, and he would have a good time cutting off eyes and noses. And it's like, why is that trying to be a fun thing? It's gore though. Vor is like the eating part, right?
Yeah. I mean, carnivore.
Right.
I don't know, just like an old, ancient, primeval, violent world that they're still figuring out. Like, I think that's a type of mythology that could exist, like could be the belief of somebody in the world,
right?
In Pokemon,
right?
Not that to say that it actually happened,
but why are you going so far to flesh all that out and put those details in it while fleshing it out? And if you're going to shelve it and be like, I went a little too far on that one, why are you keeping it around? It's not going to come back around ever. You shouldn't put that back into the world, the lore, ever.
I think a responsible company keeps all these things around for the most part. Like, they save their work.
Yeah, responsible company. Now that it's leaked, they sure seem like a very responsible company. Nobody's looking at this and thinking Pokemon might not be the safest thing for my kids anymore.
I have more respect for Pokemon because I found this story.
Most parents who have kids into Pokemon probably would disagree with you, unless they're
not going to be giving the kids these stories. They chose not to use them.
Yeah, I mean, the kids have already found them out. If it's on the internet, they got leaked. They probably read them already.
Well, I mean, if you're old enough to, like, be on the internet and stuff like that, like, it's just a story, you know? And, like, at that point, how much control do you really have over what your kids are consuming? Like,
I mean, yeah, you don't.
If they could see it in the first place, you obviously don't exercise that level of control.
Right, but it's just the thing of, like, you know, you get your kids the Xbox, but maybe when they're 10 years old, you don't buy them Grand Theft Auto right away. You know, so like parents might see that and be like, well, maybe Pokemon goes on the list of we're not putting that till the later on days. If parents just trying to keep their eye on it. I don't know. I think it's very weird. I don't really play Pokemon a lot, and I'm probably not going to try to get into Pokemon now.
Because of this?
Yeah, that's very much steered me away. If any of that is going to come anywhere near coming around.
They abandoned it all. Like they went in completely different directions from there, and they like, if you look at the games now, they put a lot into, like, not actually being violent. Like Sun and Moon had shit where it's like, here's a bear.
I don't care about the violence part. It's more the sexualization part. The violence.
But they're never going to include that.
Didn't they already? Don't they already have things?
They have. Like, there's one thing in the Japanese version of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl in a library. And if you read that, it's a tale that says at one point Pokemon and human married each other.
Ooh. And that's in the game, I guess.
That's it. That's the only thing that's ever gotten close to any of this. But nowadays, it's just sort of like, you know, ooh, these are cloth sticks It's little crab. I know you said you didn't worry that much about the violence, but like, these are cloth sticks. They're crab flavored, imitation crab, flavored with the discarded shells of giant crabs.
Yeah.
Like,
the crabs don't get hurt.
Yeah, like you're mostly a vegetarian, I imagine. I mean, I guess they do sell hamburger meat, but they just don't tell you what the hamburger is.
Probably Toros or fucking Mill Tank.
Yeah.
Also, before I send this.
Yeah, sleep.
She's sleeping. We got a little kitten on my lap. Very cute.
Yeah, if that's your reaction to that one, that is I guess that's also the only one where it explicitly says this person had relations with the Pokemon.
Yeah, and then threw it back into the sea multiple times for some reason, and then that Pokemon child became a murderous rampage. Like, why? The whole point of the Ursaring, I guess, fine, whatever. Why is it just a guy banging an octopus and throwing it back into the sea 4 times before that happens? Like, what? I want whoever wrote that to be off the Pokemon team. Get him out of here. This guy's not safe. He's got some weird ideas. Don't let Steve on the mic again.
I guess another implication that I drew from these, which I think is interesting, is so like the guy slept with an octillery and got a human child, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's other stories in here in which they don't explicitly say that, and the child ends up being a Pokemon. When you breed Pokemon in the games, all you do is you have in the most recent one, all you do is you have a picnic. You can watch them all the entire time and nothing happens, and you go over to the picnic basket and you'll find an egg.
Is there a stork that delivers Pokemon eggs?
No, you can watch the basket and them the entire time, and it just says like one of them snuck the egg into there. So
Secret
basically,
banging.
Well, no, they don't even do it. They do something completely different. It's whatever it is, they sort of just create it. You know, it's not sex.
Interesting.
Apparently,
yeah, it makes sense.
If you did have sex with the octopus, then you get a human. But
Did you
to
just
create
get a
a
regular
Pokemon,
human?
There's no sex involved.
Huh.
That's what I drew from there.
But Pokemon, why is that even? I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about how that's.
I mean, that's kid friendly. Sex doesn't exist.
I mean,
they don't talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, you still kind of, if you don't talk about it at all, yeah, like you just don't even, oh, the eggs appeared. That's kind of probably the way it should be. That's good to know that that's not going to be ever a part of the Pokemon thing.
No, of course not.
It's just weird that they kept that around. Why? Get rid of it.
They keep all their documents.
They shouldn't keep that one. If you have a document of some weird, creepy shit that people are going to look at and be like, hey, that's some weird, creepy shit next to my kid's game. Probably should get rid of that. Probably should have been the manager been like, hey, this one, you went a little too far with it. We're not going to keep it. And just for safekeepings, shred the computer. Just here's a box of matches. Yeah, just here's a stick of dynamite. Put it in the disc tray. Light it. Close it. Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's great mythology, and a lot of it apparently some of these stories are just straight up like taken from mythology, like Hokkaido mythology, and they just sort of replace the name of the yokai with
sense.
a Pokemon.
Right, yeah.
And so yeah, the big one that everyone was making fun of was Typhlosion.
I was gonna say I remember the Typhlosion one was the very much banging one. A lot of.
No, they don't say it at all.
Don't they have like the child together or whatever?
Yeah, but they don't say they do anything.
What?
They say they get married.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's when you use terms like that to ground it within the real world, even though it's not it's a whole different universe and a whole different thing. It still begets, you know what, the Pokemon doing it.
Yeah, but they're spirits, you know. They don't they just sort of immaculately do this shit for the most part. That's how it is in the games.
Yeah,
that's how it seems to be in the mythology. It's
fine.
All immaculate.
That's fine.
If it's something that actually, if you have relations, it's a human, and if you don't, then
that's a weird line to draw, but fine. I mean, it's as long as it's not actually going about that. It's the Pokemon leaks just got me a little worried about the direction that they might have been going or are looking to go.
Nah, they're not gonna do anything. They probably got quite embarrassed by having this stuff out there. But
if only they
the
just
only,
deleted the fucking files.
public thing that's been stated by Nintendo or the Pokemon Company
Oops.
since then was we understand that there was a leak of our employee data, which is true. A lot of employee data was also leaked with this leak, and so they were like, we're going to be looking to prosecute those people.
Probably true, yeah, or probably a good idea because that's personal information, so it's actually very illegal.
Yeah, so like that's the only acknowledgement that they gave. They didn't acknowledge any of this other stuff.
Probably don't even want to be associated with it. They probably wish it didn't exist. They probably wish they told that guy, delete that.
Nah, it's good. I think it's good. It's nothing to do with the actual games. It's deep lore that like was never meant to be known. It's forbidden knowledge. You know?
Well, yeah,
it's interesting. It's cool. It's like they're actual beings of mythos.
I'll still take the L in my book.
Nah, it's so interesting and intriguing to me. I respect it. That's my statement.
Well, I respect you, but I cannot respect what Pokemon did with that.
I will not
can't
be
respect
reading the other
keeping
ones
that out
because
please,
that is.
Please don't. I remember I think it was the Typhlosion one that I saw a video. I don't think they did a deep read of it, but they just read like small excerpts and were just like, why? Why was this even like a thing people were thinking of while thinking of Pokemon? Like, let's save that for the people on the rule. Is it still on Tumblr? Is it Rule 34 that goes on there? Or is there a specific site for that now? Tumblr was always the place I knew.
Person.
Tumblr was always the place I knew that people went to congregate around it. I don't know if that's still around now that it's kind of defunct.
Well, it's not like smut.
It's borderline, though.
It's so far from smut.
It's borderline.
None of it is erotic. Not in the slightest.
Yeah,
I didn't get an ounce of eroticism out of any of these.
I could see that that would be a hard sell, like it being literal Pokemon like erotica, but it's still just strange. It begets a lot of strange thoughts about the Pokemon universe that is just maybe cool and deep thinking for like an Elden Ring or for like maybe even like I guess a Marvel story, because those are kind of get a bit pretty adult, but
I mean, if you're saying Marvel, like
yeah, they wouldn't do that now. Disney would, but you know. Pokemon, same way. It's geared towards kids. Probably shouldn't even go to that deep level, because what are you doing it for? If you're marketing towards kids, you think kids are going to be able to concept the fathom of the universe, like, or fathom the concept of the universe?
I think it's good to have like mature topics and be able to like discuss like what they sort of mean in this universe, not with a child, but like to have an understanding. Like it's a world that has adults in it, you know.
Yeah.
Like there are these like mature things in there, but you just aren't showing any of them because you're a kid. Like it's fine, it's whatever. You don't need to show it, but it's good to know that there is more mature stories about it. Like I think it's just very cool.
You can be alone on that island. I can't agree with you.
I am not alone on that island, but there's few and far between. I've seen people on Twitter actually share my opinion on it.
Well, that's.
I think it's less mature to be calling Typhlosion like a creep and stuff like that as you're reading of the story than it is to have written the story in the first place.
I was gonna say I don't blame the characters or anything like that. It's whatever, but the people who are trying to like think about this, even if they didn't put it in the game, even if they went a different direction, if this was just like what was on their mind, and maybe they might try to work subtly towards it, whatever. I don't like it. It's like it brings to mind that you ever see the thing about the Powerpuff Girls reboot. One of the animators on the show, like he added in this new character that was like, you know, this strong scientist guy that one of the lead Powerpuff Girl like would always like fall in love with, or always have like, oh, he's so like kind of hot attraction to him, even though she's in like kindergarten or whatever. But it's a cartoon, but the heart's coming from her head.
Kindergartners can have crushes,
right? It's just like a crush thing, and then you look at it, and it's looks exactly like one of the lead animators, like shot for shot, and you're just like, hey, wait a minute, like why did you just put yourself in there just to? It just makes it a little creepier to be like, why are you trying to be the love interest of this kindergarten girl?
What do you think of Sailor Moon?
Never watched it. I just know of its existence. Don't really
Apparently,
know anything
Sailor
about
Moon was originally supposed to be smut, and then they ended up deciding not to do that, and they made a children's show out of it instead, using a lot of the cells and stuff like that, and the transformation scenes. You know, they ended up shifting gears like that, but using the same material.
Makes sense.
So,
I can see that. I mean, what do I think about it? Like, it's probably not good to watch. It's back in like
the stuff was created with the explicit intention of being smut. This isn't like a, you know.
Yeah, no, that's also probably pretty bad. I mean, I've never watched Sailor Moon. It's probably like every single bad thing about an anime that people don't like about anime is probably riddled with it. But at the same time,
it's not like they have. No, there's a lot of bad shit about anime nowadays. It's just sort of like a,
yeah, but
it's just a power, like a, you know, magic girls thing. You know, it's not like I've seen a clip from like modern anime where a girl is like flying, like, you know, leaning back to avoid getting hit by a bullet, and her boobs jiggle, and the bullet passes through that. Like, that is something that I would more expect people to not like about anime, and that is not the content of Sailor Moon.
I'm sure there's got to be like the jokes of like the pervy old man who likes them, who likes the girls or whatnot, or like the fact that even they, or how old are they? They probably get like any sort of sexualization at all, wearing the short skirts and whatnot. They're probably like 14, 15, I imagine. Anime logics.
High school, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
never watched
it for a very
but
long time, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't any sexualization of them, really.
No, I've never watched it, but it seems like it'd be kind of not really up my alley, just because the few things I've seen of it are like just old school anime. Like, I like Speed Racer just to laugh at it, because that was one of the first animes I watched, and I feel like that's what I would do with Sailor Moon. But it's like a 20-season anime or something. It's long.
That's crazy. I don't think it has any reason to be that long.
It ran for a long time. One of the things just got popular. I want to say it was either like a 12 or 20. Sailor Moon seasons. Shit. Oh, no, it was only 5. I don't know why I thought it was so long. Maybe I just saw it on Toonami for so long that I just figured like, oh, these are all new episodes, and they were really just playing reruns.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it probably looks a lot the same. I mean, the whole transformation scenes thing is to fill up screen time, right? You know, you have like the same thing, use it in every single episode.
Right.
You don't need to reanimate it every single time.
Mm-hmm.
You make a joke about that in Rick and Morty.
Just like they can save animation time by doing that same thing.
Yeah, it's a transformation thing for Jerry where he turns into Rick's assistant and he gets like a notepad and shit, and they do a whole Sailor Moon sequence, and he's like, why did that happen? It's reusable. Anytime we need you to become my secretary, we can just play the same clip and don't need to pay animators. Kind of sucks that that's how I found out that that's sort of the purpose behind those things.
It makes sense.
I guess I learned something still, but
I was gonna say it makes sense, especially when you see like what you call it, every anime having that same like riverbank and bridge and trees. It's just like, yeah, that's probably a really easy cell to draw off. Just like, I keep reusing that. Just long, flat, not really any kind of like skyline to draw other than like tree here and tree there.
You know, I like where we're going with this. I think we should call it, and then we should start with that topic next of like reusing animation and stuff.
Okay, I'm down with that. Thanks for listening to episode 21 of Cold Hard Trash, CRT. If you like this episode, tell your friends about it. Rate 5 stars. What else should they do to get the word out?
Make new accounts and rate it 5 stars with them too.
Yeah, spam bot it. I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad if you put in a little extra work like that. Maybe if you want to rent a hot air balloon potentially, something like that, and just start yelling from it. People probably be able to cover a lot more distance.
Rent one of the like dozen blimps that exist.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, just do something like that and report back to us. Let us know how it goes. Till next time, though.
We won't pay you. So.
No, you're not getting reimbursed for shit.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye-bye.